C10 Talk, OBS Talk, Matt Burns, episode 160, Beltec, SEMA 2019. Here we go.
You know, and I'm excited because that's always been my favorite platform. So it's a challenge, it's a personal challenge for me that I'm taking to help us reinvent ourselves, to remind everybody why everybody fell in love with us back then.
Damn, son.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast. Here's your host, Ronnie Wetch.
Let's get started. What up, C10 Nation, OBS Talk, a little combo, last combo of the year. Hitting it up and wrapping things up for 2019. It's crazy. Time flies. I did talk to our buddy, Mr. Paul Hitch, the other day, which was cool, checking in with him. He's almost 103 now. So just about a year ago is when we first did our first episode with Mr. Paul Hitch. And then we had a follow-up. So I did talk to him about sitting down again and chatting it up. So pretty crazy. Mr. Paul Hitch, 102 years old, over the 102 hill, on his way to 103. Happy holidays, fellas. I hope everything's going good out there for you guys running around and doing what you're doing. Christmas shopping, traffic, weekends. Kind of funny. Got some, kids recitals, and they have their Christmas formal stuff. Got a little concert today for my daughter, so I got to get this out. C10 Taco Tuesday, OBS Taco Tuesday, and I hope you guys are doing well out there. Let's see here. I made a little list to go over. Again, just hope you guys are having fun driving around, sitting in traffic, and shopping and spending money. I do a lot of it online too. My wife's handling it. She runs around it. If I can get her taken care of and a couple things for the kids, that's cool. I do like to take each kid out individually and let them get something for mom, and it allows me to spend a little bit of time with them. But, that's what it's all about. Kids, family, fun. This will be the end of the year episode 160. I do have plans of doing a quick little thing at the end of the year. I wouldn't consider it a real episode. It's going to be just a little talk about the best of 2019 and then the C10 of the year for 2019. So going back, that was Mr. Sam Castronova won the best of 2018, and Cisco won the C10 of the year with Ghost. So we'll be ramping up for that, and that takes place kind of in that January, February time frame. So we'll do some votes and some stuff online. So pay attention to that as we get closer to wrapping up the year. OBS Talk is now separate. So although I'm throwing this together, obviously Matt from Beltec, SEMA, it was one of those things where Beltec, they can pretty much cover the whole lineage of any Chevrolet truck, a GMC rad-ass truck. But kind of more so of an OBS episode with that from SEMA. But I've been separating them, or I've been putting them together, and 2020 I'll completely separate them. So OBS will be OBS, and you won't have any combo cross episodes like this last one. OBS Talk out on its own, so you can search it and find it on iTunes. It was pretty cool. What I did is I took the 4 or 5 that we already have and I put them over there just so you'll have the sequence, and it's already kicking butt. It's in the top 50 of the automotive, and there's always some, already some rate and reviews, so thank you guys for doing that. And for you C10 Talk guys that are here, thanks for listening, rating, and reviewing, and letting us know how we do and how we're doing. We got over 500, which was my goal, so thank you again for doing that. I think last time I checked, it was a few over 500. So thank you for taking the time to rate and review either OBS Talk or C10 Talk. Whether it's right to separate them, I don't know. I didn't have plans of doing that, but a few things in the movement of the OBS trucks are getting popular. And speaking of the movement, how about OBS Builder's Guide? So kind of rolling through with that. They did post something up. I had ironically reached out to Chris Hamilton, who's the editor of Street Trucks and has a lot to do with what's going on in, both the C10 Builder's Guide. They do the Ford 100, the F100 Builder's Guide, and now they've got the OBS Builder's Guide. what I heard was that they put that out last year to their upper management, and it was tabled, and then they just saw the movement and said, let's do it. Let's jump on board. So on OBS Talk, I did post what is a mock. It's not a real cover, although it looks like it, and it was done very well. I did talk to Chris, and it is a mock cover. Mark Oya, who was on our OBS Talk, really kind of our first episode that wasn't our intro, Mark was behind that truck, that OBS truck, that Splash Beltec Revival. And it looks perfect. They did a great job on that cover. So I told Mark, I'm like, even if they don't make that the cover for the first OBS Builder's Guide, you need to get a hold of that and frame it, because as far as I'm concerned, it kind of is a pretty bitchin' cover. So let's see. They are talking about doing 2 to 3 of those builder's guides next year. I think it all depends on how well they fly off the shelves. I do not have a subscription info for you just yet. As soon as I get that, I will put that out to you. I'm sure they're going to want you to subscribe, dual subscribe, where you can get Street and either OBS Builder's Guide, C10 Builder's Guide. Maybe we can get them both. So that's coming around. I mean, the OBS takeover, the OBS movement, you see it, the hashtags and the fun and everything else. And some of the guests that we've had, Joey G today with Matt from Beltec. It's a good thing, and it's fun. Just have fun with it. Build your truck, find what you like, whether it's a C10, it's a C10 square body, OBS. Enjoy the movement, enjoy the fun, enjoy 1,500 trucks at Dino's. That's what we're enjoying, and driving them, just getting out and driving them and enjoying them. This episode is going to be brought to you by, we'll get these off the docket right away here so we can get into Matt, is going to be brought to you by Dakota Digital. Dakota Digital, whether it's OBS or C10, has you covered. They've got the VHX, the HDX, which are a little bit more fancy, and you can change their color, and you can have an app with your phone, and then the RTX. Now, Yellowstone had the VHX, killer gauges, love the look, love the performance, and then I've got the RTX in orange slice. And the RTX, again, the RTX are just a retro look with HDX as kind of the platform, which you get the changing of the color, you get the app and the availability to have your gauges on your phone, and so really just a smart gauge, and they look really killer. Now, for the OBS guys, you can get rid of the sweep style, the moon, however you want to look at it. Now, I have an 88, and that has the OG classic gauges in them. They're horrible. They're absolutely horrendous, but they're so cool because they are so horrible. And it's probably the only gauge where you can just haul ass and the gauge will come around full circle. If you've never tried it or done it, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to film that and put that out to the world. Kind of funny. You can be hauling ass down the freeway and bring your gauge all the way around. But that OG classic, I think it's 88 to 91. You can get rid of that. Dakota Digital has a complete setup for the OBS trucks, and it's really one of those things that as we evolve, the products and the companies behind the trucks evolve as well. And that was the key. If you look back and you think about what Solomon and I talked about with the C10s versus F100s, those guys just don't have the product availability aftermarket that we do, and that helps. So that helps tremendously. And the movement and kick-ass products, and Dakota Digital is one of those companies that's behind us full force. So if you're looking for gauges for your C10, your square body, your OBS truck, hit them up, Dakota Digital. AccuAir. Now, AccuAir released, they have their Endo, they have their Exo, and now they have their all-new eConnect. So what eConnect is essentially a little box. It almost fits in your hands. You can change the colors. You can make it look really cool. And it's kind of a switch speed box. It's eControl. It's a controller. It's an ECU. With that box for right at $400, you can essentially have control with your phone. So you don't have a touchpad and you don't have programmable height sensors, but you do have like a switch style box. Now, for an upgradable price of like $600, you can get your ride height sensors, and then you can still use your phone, or you can upgrade with the touchpad. Kind of, you're able to piece it all together if you want, but the bottom line is they've got a new eConnect, their ECU. It's really bitchin'. It's very compact, and you can combine that with a compressor, a tank, and then you've got your ECU, your eConnect. You can add your ride height sensors, and you can add your touchpad as the money comes in and you want to build your system. So AccuAir.com, both AccuAir and Dakota Digital, you can get at AZ Pro Performance. You can call our guys, Travis, you can call Ed, you can call Nick, and get a hold of those guys over there, AZ Pro Performance. They're the guys. They're the go-to guys for us. AccuAir, Dakota Digital, so much more. Curry, React, you name it, they have it. Their brakes, Bear, their Revelator kit. They're really one of those companies where they not only know the trucks, they build the trucks, and if you want to upgrade from stock, you hit the boys up at AZ Pro Performance. Now, our other one on this one is going to be Marquet. I'm going to switch over here because I want to make sure I say this, but I saw that they have a huge special. This is big because only really once a year is Marquet going to do this kind of package deal. But if you spend anything under 500 is 10% off. Anything from that 500 to 1,000, you're getting 15% off. And then over 1,000, you're getting 20% off. So Jingle 10, pretty much just any code goes in there if you're going to buy something. Jingle 15, 15% off. Jingle 20, 20% off. The bottom line is if you're looking for molding, you're looking for trim, you're looking for bed wood, you need to be paying attention and jumping on that. Now, the only thing is that ends on the 20th. So you've got to listen today and get that out quick because that type of savings it's huge. And that trim, that wood is the best. Made in Oklahoma, made in US of A, American made. You're getting the absolute best. It's one of those things where Home Built C10, he did this thing where he had his aftermarket square body trim. He got it. He crumbled it all up. He sent me a post. He now has bought it. He's like, dude, I couldn't even resist. To save 20%. Because, for example, a full set of square body molding, what I have on Orange Slice, it will easily eclipse $1,000. So you're going to be in the area of 15 to 1750. So 1,500 to a little over 1,700. Well, if you can save 20% on that, you're saving, a couple $100, and that's a lot of money. It comes in it's jewelry. It's jewelry for your truck. It's jewelry for your passion, for your hobby. The best wood, the best side molding, the best trim, so much more. Check them out, mar-k.com, mar-k, don't forget the .com. And right here, once again, 10% off on order with no minimum. Use Jingle 10, 15% off orders over 500. Use Jingle 15, and 20% off an order over $1,000. 20% off over $1,000. Use Jingle 20. Get on their website. It's a lot easier than trying to remember everything that I'm saying and listening to. So, bottom line, Marquet, AccuAir, AZ Pro Performance, and Dakota Digital, all supportive of C10 Talk, OBS Talk. Thank you guys. SpeakPipe. So my SpeakPipe is a little voice recording on c10nation.com, and people can leave a little voicemail. And for whatever reason, I found that was kind of going into my junk, so I missed a few of them, but I grabbed a few that hadn't fallen off the trash junk box cliff. So let's go ahead and read a few of these here. And for those that do take the time to read it, thank you so much. I'm going to reach out to these guys and give them both shirts because I really do want to promote the SpeakPipe because I'd like to hear back from you guys. I also have the availability to send a voice text back, and I have with all of these. So I'm going to read two of them off, and you guys are both going to get some swag for doing that. I appreciate you taking the time to leave me a voicemail or a SpeakPipe mail, if you will. For you guys out there listening for 2020, go ahead and do that. Leave me some content, and every now and then I'll send something out. I'm not going to do it every time, but I do want to get behind it. So,
hey, this is Chevy Black calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Just want to let you know that you have some fans here on the East Coast. Love your show, and I enjoy it every morning on my way to work. Keep doing what you're doing. Great job.
Hey, Ronnie, I just bought my first C10 Nation t-shirt. Damn, son.
All right, pretty cool, right? So I dig that they did that. Another one that I have for you guys is a quick email that I'm going to just kind of read off some of this. A little shout out. Somebody, you have the availability, kind of leave me some feedback as well. But this guy's email is going to be Flores Dude. Hi, Ron. My name is Manuel. I own a 60 GMC short bed. He goes on to talk about how long he's owned it and that he has a son. His son works in the fire service. It looks like he's a mechanic for the local fire department. And unfortunately, he's got some cancer that's come back. So big shout out to Manuel Flores and your son. I guess it's probably going to be Manny Jr. Manny Jr., our thoughts are with you, our prayers, and we hope that you battle this battle as courageous as you can. And, this chemotherapy, it looks like you're going to start over in January. We're thinking of you, brother. So good luck, Godspeed, and hope you have a speedy recovery. Thanks, Manny, for sending me that over. I appreciate you doing that. We do have our C10 Talk gear, Nation gear, OBS gear. We've got our Obsessed banners, our shirts, and those killer leather keychains. If you get that in by probably no later than Thursday, we can still get it out for Christmas. So if you're looking for some stocking stuffers, you want some OBS stickers, some C10 Talk stickers, keychains, we'll have it all available, and you can get that shipped out. But we're not going to go past Thursday because we got to get that out to you for your stocking stuffers or whatever it might be. So let mama know, let the kids know that you want an OBS banner, a C10 Talk banner, a C10 Nation banner, keychains, stickers, shirts, hats. We got it all. And we'd love to ship it out to you for Christmas. So happy holidays on that one. C10nation.com. Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Now, ODB, they did a little interview with Bill Allen. Bill Allen, you're like, who the hell is Bill Allen? Well, remember Rad, the show, 1986, Crew Jones. So they recently did a little pod with Bill Allen, and what a great show. Growing up, it does make sense that show didn't do all that well in the box office, but it did phenomenally, tremendous, world record breaking for the time in mom and pop VHS rental stores. For me, I moved from Montana to Arizona in 86. This is when the show came out. We joke about it all the time. We would have to rent a VCR. We didn't even have a VCR. So I don't know, maybe that was like 84 when we were renting them, and maybe by 86 we had one. But it was such a treat to go down, and you wanted to get that one, is there any VCRs left? Because if there wasn't any VCRs left to rent, you couldn't rent a movie. And I remember, little mom and pop VHS, rental store, movie rental store, and you'd run down there, and if there was a VCR, you could rent it. I don't know, maybe it was a few bucks and then a couple bucks for the video, and the entertainment was awesome. It was tremendous, and just watched Rad a few times. And then I do remember, moving to Arizona, watching it, a few more times. And I don't think that I'm definitely not a cult follower like what I would say Jason is from Our Lifestyle, the podcast. But it is cool to hear Mr. Bill Allen from Rad, Crew Jones himself, talk about some of the ins and outs, and then really some with Lori Loughlin, who we all know now is in the news for not a good way. But cool to check that out. Now, Jason, don't hate me for this, but for my audience, skip about an hour into the podcast because those guys get going for a while. And if you want to just get to the meat of it, it's about an hour in. And you'll hear Mr. Crew Jones, Bill Allen, Good Times, OLP, Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Check them out. Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Make sure I'm doing that right. OLP, Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Yeah, I see that on his hat all the time, so I want to make sure I'm doing that right. Check it out, Rad, Bill Allen. This episode 160, the audio sucks, and it's one of those ones from SEMA. Again, I don't know why, but this one's probably the worst. So work through it. At the beginning, it does get a little bit better. I thought about reaching back out to Matt and saying, hey, you want to, cut one fresh? But honestly, when you do a second interview like that, it's just not as spontaneous. It's not as fresh. It's not as funky. And even though we're at SEMA, there's a little background. It's just that for some reason, I don't know if it's the squelching of the setup. It just had some background feed and it's not really going away. I tried to clean it up. I did clean it up a little bit, work through it. It does get better. And I'm just grateful that I had the time and Matt made that time for me to sit down from Beltec. So again, sorry for the audio, work through it. It's worth it. It's fun to hear Matt and find out what's going on with Beltec. And Beltec's been a huge, if not one of the biggest in the scene for, so many years, especially the sport truck movement. It's a fun one. That's it, guys. I don't really see any other notes here. I'm going to let you get to it here. It's not a super long show. It's probably only a half hour, which for us is kind of short. Usually we go a little longer, and we'll be back. We'll be back at the end of the year with just a quick update and then hitting it hard with both C10 Talk and OBS Talk for the new year. Remember, if you got a chance to get out there and get online and you want some gear, C10 Talk, C10 Nation, and OBS Talk gear, hit it up, c10nation.com, and just have a great holiday. I hope you guys have a blessed and Merry Christmas. Hope you're not working. Hope you're enjoying friends and family, and breaking bread, maybe a few sips of the hooch, and good times ahead. Merry Christmas 2019. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy everything. Have a great week, guys. Late.
All right. OBS Talk, OBS Nation, sitting down, SEMA 2019, Matt Burns, Beltec, and I tell you what, again, I always give Matt props, MagnaFlow. We're in the podcast stage, podcast booth, and we have this huge line all waiting to see us do this podcast, Matt. We did find out that it's probably really they're standing in line for Mario Andretti.
Well, I was starting to feel awfully flattered until
you're like,
until we
damn,
heard
Ronnie.
that.
You freaking, what'd you do here? So we had a little scheduling issues here. We made it work. Super mad props. Stoked to have you on here. And then obviously under the circumstances, you have so many things going on. Welcome to OBS Talk. And just tell us who's Matt Burns and, what do you do for Beltec?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. It's an honor. It's pretty cool to be here. So my official title is brand manager for Beltec. Basically, I oversee sales, marketing, and engineering, making sure everybody's on the same page, headed in the right direction, new products, all that type of stuff.
How did you get to that position?
So originally when I started as a technical support on the phones.
Cool.
And just kind of worked my way up over the years.
So a lot of street cred, OJT, on the job training for the millennials out there.
Yeah, and I had been in the scene prior to getting to the job, and kind of, I guess you could say, kind of made a little bit of a name for myself. They were in Fresno, where Beltec was based out of back then, and they called me up one day and said, "Hey, we've got a position open." So,
what other type? Just kind of give you an idea, or give us really the audience, when you have taken hiatuses or maybe like another job, what kind of job, what kind of guy are you that, is this what you always thought you would be? Is this now that you find out, like we said, we're about the same age, you're like, I really dig this part. I dig the challenges. What other types of things have you done?
Actually it's pretty boring. Every job I've ever had has been in the automotive industry. Right out of high school, my father owned a small local parts house. And I started slinging parts when I was 18 years old, sweeping the floor, cleaning bathrooms, dusting shelves, that kind of thing. And
so what we're doing is we're looking at each other as we talk. So I'm going to move that. And
Gotcha.
I'm going to help you. Yeah, there you go.
A little too quiet.
No, that's all right. Yeah, he's telling us to turn it up a little bit. So you started at Pops's warehouse.
Started at Pops's warehouse and slinging some parts, and because he's an old Valley hot rod guy as well, so. I've been around cars since I could walk, and I blame him for this madness. So, and so finally he let me have a little corner of the showroom, and I started putting in some speed parts here and there, and actually started selling Beltec in 1992.
92.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're going way back.
I think I just dated myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so we both are the class of 92, so we're really going to date ourselves. So. Essentially, your senior year, you said, "Okay, I'm going to start hustling some money here."
Yep.
I got other car projects, truck projects I got to pay for.
Exactly.
So I'm going to sling some parts at Dad's warehouse or shop and auto parts store and make some money.
Yeah. And then I bounced around to a couple other places. Ended up at the local Chevrolet dealership. Worked there for a while in the parts department. Then finally stepped into the aftermarket in the mid-90s. And went to work for Early Classic Enterprises.
I love those guys. Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my first interviews.
Yeah, back then it was owned by Dave Clark before Stan took over.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my first foray into the aftermarket. And then from there, again, a couple of local upfitter accessory stores, and then on to Beltec.
It's crazy, too. Fresno seems like a hub, no pun intended, but a hub for hubs, right? I mean, a hub for spindles and early classic and, you know, you guys. And it's just crazy. It's like, how the hell does that happen?
Well, you know, it's weird because, you know, everybody likes to poke fun at the Valley, the Central Valley, Fresno, Clovis, Madera, all that. And for good reason. But it is such, like you said, it's such a hub for car culture.
Yeah.
It's not just trucks. You know, there's muscle cars, hot rods, customs, minis. I mean, you can find any little niche that you want, and there's a huge community there. You know, obviously drag racing and oval track racing is huge in the Valley. Such a rich history. So, you know, it's you can't go far and not stumble onto some sort of cool car or truck.
You said it, rich history, and that's probably the number one reason why I want you up here today and to talk to the community about Beltec. I mean, when we think about the OBS, the 88 to 98 trucks, and the movement that we're seeing, one of the biggest names and the brands is Beltec. Walk us through some of that Beltec history of what you know of going back to the company, and then we'll get into the CK stuff.
Sure. Man, you know, because I kind of came in right there towards the end of the platform. Back in the day, you could walk down to your local dealership, sign on the dotted line, and drive off the lot with that Beltec truck. You know, you had the names like Boyd, you know, obviously us. God, who else was back? You know, Gaylords back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Traders.
Silent Customs.
Yeah, you know, all those
Foos,
guys.
the wheels.
Yeah.
The steering
Tom Taylor,
wheels.
Santini, you know, all those guys that were such integral parts of that time and, you know, kicking off that sport truck craze.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy. I'm going to tell you this one more time, so we just put that thing right there. You have that sexy voice. You're like, hello. So I don't know how it's.
I do have a face for radio.
I don't know. I've got a face for radio. I just want it to be I want it to be projected. So I'll clean it up. I can go through it. Okay, so the history, Beltec, and when you think about the key players, now the question is one of the things I always kind of associate with, and I really like it, and I'm assuming that you know, the people that were there before you, and then you've kept that going, but as the Beltec trucks and your ads and the way you guys have really in the last few years, I think you kind of realized, all right, we've got a 67, 72, we've got a square, okay, now we got an OBS, and we got an MBS, and you just kept it going, and that's a cool thing, because what that does when we think about history is that says we build rad shit, but we go back a long time, look at these trucks and the lineage and the history, and for us, the Chevy truck, the C10, the GMCs, the CKs, the movement of these trucks, and why we're here today is those trucks, C10s and CKs.
Right. And the Silverado has always been our bread and butter. That's always what we've been known for. And back then, I don't want to say we were a marketing company, but we really marketed ourselves well. We had some really great talent behind the scenes, creating those rad trucks, those rad posters that everybody used to love and still loves, that we're hearing about it again this week.
100%. Splish Splash.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bring back those posters.
And that was a big deal of it. Not only that, the quality of the part helped reinforce that. It fit. The kit was complete. Everything about it, it was so, I try and use the word revolutionary kind of sparingly, because that, to me, that's a pretty important word. But, back then we were doing things that not too many people were doing for the masses. I'm sure there was a lot of smaller guys that were doing similar things back then, but in mass, that was kind of us.
Where does that come from? Where does Beltec come from? Where I really don't even know.
Well, Beltec started out as Super Bell Axle Company.
Okay, is that a name? Is that the founder's guy's name, Mr. Bell?
I don't think so, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this, and I'm not sure where it came from myself. That goes way back before our time.
Okay.
And but they used to build drop axles for like 32s, so it was technically a hot rod company.
Well, isn't that cool too? It's like you say the Valley and Poke Fun, and there's so much history and lineage, and we see movies about this shit, and then you're like, it's crazy too, because it's like there's a lot of lineage there to the hot rod world, and
Right.
where guys are like, well, we're not selling quite this many 32 parts.
Mhm.
Let's evolve, and a lot of
What's
these guys
next?
are buying these trucks and then they're buying these and these 55s and this and that.
Yeah.
And then whoever, these people are that are working in this company, the founders, the engineers, they're like, we've got to change some shit up. And they
Mhm,
do.
mhm.
And now we're here today
Yep.
and we're talking about a revival.
Right. Well, and it's like it wasn't even the kids back then doing it. It was guys our age now back then.
Yeah.
And they wanted their truck that they were driving daily to look as cool as their hot rod or their muscle car that was in the garage that they drove on the weekends. And it's just that fuel that we all get trying to personalize and make it our own. And, how cool can we make the next one?
So what do you guys see from the movement right now? When you guys, are here at SEMA,
Mhm.
you're seeing some OBS trucks here, some CKs. What are you thinking? Is there the thing that we kind of in on this side of the fence, we think, dude, they're gonna, Styling Concepts and Traders and these other companies, they're gonna have to start getting these old molds out. They're gonna have to start figuring something because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is going to be crazy because we're in the age of what old is cool again, and but it's just like fashion. Everything's cyclical, you know. So you're seeing a lot of roll pans and the old square mirrors and that type of stuff out there. That stuff never gets old, and so, but yet you're seeing a current day spin on things. Personally, I'm seeing a trend more towards the performance aspect. Actually building what a true sport truck might be. One that'll go around corners as well as it looks great. But you're always going to see those full customs. There's some great examples of that here at the show this week.
What's jumping out at you?
The black 454 SS that GSI built.
Joey G.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That thing is amazing.
Talk about taking the old school and the new school and making it rad school. Looking at
Mhm.
those things. You talk about performance. I mean, Don Hardy, he's got the Don Hardy Racing
Oh,
in
yeah.
there.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was on the stage with me yesterday. Great man,
Good
great
dude.
build, great companies behind him. Great dude, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And he's got a vision, and I think we're going to get guys that you nailed it. It's cyclical. We're going to have we grew up in it. You and I are 45, 46. I remember when the 88 came. I'm in junior high, and now we wanted it in high school, whether you had it or not, or you bought one a little bit after high school. But now it's going to be. I got some money. I
Mhm.
wanted that. I bought an 88, and my wife, we went for a little drive just to go get something. She's like, I feel like we are in high school again.
Yeah.
And it's just like the smell, the truck, the dash. And I didn't even like the 90, the 94 and older because of the square dash. And
Right.
now I love it,
Yeah.
just because it's nostalgic,
Mhm,
and so those type of things. And I love what you said about, like, we're going to see the performance aspect. We're going to see guys build rad trucks, CK trucks, and they're going to put their spin on it. They're going to put their paint on it, but they're going to make these things drive and handle like Corvettes or muscle cars did back then.
Right.
And they're going to combine that, and they're going to make a true sport truck, and we're going to be part of that. And these guys
Yeah.
behind us in this booth behind us, Provost Motorsports,
Oh, yeah.
they also have got a couple killer CKs and some plans. And so those type of guys, they start to lead the way. And, we're seeing it here at SEMA 2019.
That's right. With the LS being as popular as it is, and as easy as they are to make horsepower, they're going in everything, including these CK trucks. And now it's going to be up to guys like me to help those put power to the ground and go around corners. And oh yeah, it's exciting.
Cool. what are you selling over there? I mean, what, just not just CK stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing? Is it all the new stuff? Is it the 15s, the 17s? Is it the new 19s?
We are, the 19 stuff is flying off the shelf. It seems like every new real revamp of the Silverado is pretty controversial. Last year when we debuted the kit, there was quite a bit of hate on the truck, not necessarily ours, but
it's ugly.
Right.
You might not be able to say that, but I can.
Well, it's growing on me.
It is.
At first we kind of did it because it was almost like we had to, but the truck's growing on me. Honestly, it's a great riding truck.
I drove in one, and I could not agree with you more.
Yeah.
Like, I drove one at Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't ride like a truck. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's ugly.
Yeah.
And you make it look cool.
Well,
and guys like, other companies that are going up
Mm-hmm.
and companies that are going down. The stock truck looks, fugly.
Yeah.
And the GMC looks a lot sexier than the Chevrolet.
It does.
Yeah,
It
the
does.
Silverado is
Yeah.
not, and unfortunately, I don't know, man, the grill and everything else. But you guys are, building rad parts.
Mm-hmm.
What will you think about, or what will you have to do for CK stuff?
Well, and we're going to have to evolve again. I was just looking at the numbers the other day, and CK stuff is up like 25% this year, with very little, no effort behind it, so these trucks are out there. They're getting redone, this and that. But they're not going to be happy with just that typical 4.6 or 5.7 of the old days. We're going to have to become innovative again, talking like, modular spindles to do big brakes or coilover conversions for them, better adjustable sway bars, fancier adjustable shock absorbers with, independent compression and rebound adjust, what have you. I mean, there's a lot of avenues we can go. 4-link conversions, 3-link conversions, all that type of stuff. The
Coilovers are going to be the biggest
endless.
thing. In my mind,
100%.
I think coilovers are going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you take 25 years, 30 years of technology since the 88s, come out, and now you look at those trucks, and sure, those trucks have their goods, they have their bads,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think at any stage does anybody care,
Right.
because we can fix, with the help of guys like you, manufacturers like you, we can fix anything that isn't right. And,
Right.
and the number one thing on those trucks to me is braking. They have
yes.
no brake.
Correct.
And so I think and then, you look at the stance and the handling and the performance. It's just cool to see a company that was so influential and such a big part of what we could say the first sport truck movement,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's evolved. And we are going to, I think you said, reborn or evolve again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like deja vu all over again,
Yeah,
type
yeah,
deal. Where's
exactly.
Yogi Berra when we need him?
Yeah.
So it'll be cool.
Yeah, and I'm excited because that's always been my favorite platform, and so it's a challenge. It's a personal challenge for me that I'm taking to help us reinvent ourselves, to it sounds bad, but, to become relevant again, to remind everybody why everybody fell in love with us back then.
Do you have a responsibility to say, maybe not a responsibility, you have an advantage, but that advantage could be turned into a disadvantage, because the name Beltec and the part is already synonymous with the CK movement.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't accept the challenge, step up to the challenge, and meet that demand, then that becomes then somewhat of the disadvantage.
Yeah.
So the name,
it's a disservice.
well, but you're already the disservice is only if you don't answer the call,
Right.
because people will expect you to step up.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also, if I Ronnie Spindle Company or something, I got a lot of work to get to that level that you're at.
Yeah.
You're already given, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
You've earned it, but it's almost a tradition of a namesake that goes with the CK truck.
Right.
And there's going to be so many people out here right now
Yeah.
that are thinking and making parts to go on those trucks,
Mhm.
because I'll tell you what, there's a lot more truck suspension, spindles, components, handling, riding companies out there than there were back then in 1988.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I can't walk 50 yards in this show without running into somebody and having a conversation. Hey, why aren't you guys making this? Why aren't you guys doing that? And it's like, yeah, I know, but it's time, it's resources.
What is that? What do they say? What can you tell us?
Like we were just discussing, why aren't you guys doing a coilover conversion for these trucks yet? Well, unfortunately, that's not the only project I have to work on right now. So, it's difficult to just drop everything and work on the cool stuff. I
think from a business management perspective, it's, and this, not to turn this into that type of podcast, but it's so many things that I don't think we think about that you have to think about. Is you're like, hey, Matt, why aren't you doing this?
Right.
Ronnie, I have to think about making 6 other, trucks to worry about, and now I need to kind of go back and worry about that truck while somebody who's younger and hungry, and that's just the evolution, is already making a coilover kit and doing what they're doing. And so it's happening. And what I think is crazy is how fast this stuff happens.
Oh, my goodness.
The evolution, and bam. And then, you're a bigger company. So you've got more lights to keep on, more people to pay, more products. And what do we call widgets? You got more widgets to make.
Yep, exactly.
So how do you evolve? How do you make that happen? What's the plan? What's the platform?
More resources. Right now we're going through a little bit of a change internally.
Cool.
And we're trying to grow the engineering department, bring on some more engineers, just so we can start cranking this stuff out faster. We're doing an okay job, but we can do better.
And marketing.
And we need more people, right?
And I think, what do you think about Splash and you and Mark? Oh yeah, you guys turned out a killer truck. I think that truck is going to. I mean, that's a great marketing tool.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to see a lot more of that truck throughout the next year. It came out better than I expected it to, and I'm so happy that he allowed us to be a part of that and ask us to be a part of it and recreate that. And it was just a great idea, So yeah, maybe you might. Who knows? You might see a new recreation of the poster as well.
Yeah, I think you should. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think we get now, I don't know if you'll go with the same skinny. Some of the comments on the one that I did a little Photoshop for you.
Yeah.
I think some of the comments are like cocaine, heroin, and skinny girls. But maybe now you get some CrossFit girls on there or
something.
You go. Yeah.
And
I don't know how that works.
Pants.
I don't know how that works now. Yeah. Some Lululemon CrossFit girls up there. You might not be selling Beltec spindles. No. You'll be selling something else. I wonder, how that works. It's so funny how sex sells. And thinking back to 1988 to 95, what do you drive? What's your passion?
Oh man, I've got a handful of things still. My Tailay is actually a 06 1500 HD crew cab. Okay. So
I've got one of those.
But, there's a Tahoe that the wife drives.
Cool. Beltec'd out?
Oh, yeah. There's an A4 in there as well.
What would you build if you could build a CK? What will give me an idea of whether it's yours or a company, you kind of come out with a new one, and you kind of say, okay, guys, within the marketing budget, between, your idea and the company budget, what would you build?
See, that's a tough one because, I'm a pretty subtle guy. I like the little details.
Okay.
So something like the Tribute truck or the GSI truck, that's a little more than I would do.
Okay, because it's slammed and so radical?
Just the radical aspect of it.
So I say, when I say that, I say I'm a purist.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say you're more of a purist then, growing up in that, that world that we all lived in?
Maybe a little bit. I could see that.
But I think that would work perfect for Beltec. I think your purist would be a perfect, when you look at that truck, the Splash, or you look at, whatever we're going to call it, right?
Yeah.
You look at that truck, that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
20s, not on the frame rails. That truck is exactly what we needed, what you needed. I mean, it's not too much. But maybe just right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The nice thing about that truck is, I think it pulled on everybody's heartstrings.
Yeah.
That has been in it for a while, which is cool to see. I've been reading a lot of the comments, and it's it makes me smile how it's bringing back a lot of memories for everybody.
It's funny. I tried so hard to let Mark share something.
Oh, yeah.
And he is just like, no,
Yeah.
do not share one thing. I think, and you probably had daily, hourly conversations with him.
Yep.
He was afraid that if he let any kind of kitty cat out of the bag, that he would not make it.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're all glad that he made it. There's about 5 or 6 OBS trucks here that are really, really killer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's good for everybody. It's
sure.
good for OBS Talk. It's good for Beltec. Mark's truck is in a great spot.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a great a time for us to see that type and come back. Do you think there'll be some of the radicalness to those trucks when they come back? When they are back, right? So
I hope so. And that's, not because I would personally wouldn't do that. Don't take that as I don't want to see it, but I love those big, full, radical customs. That's just not how I would build it personally.
Yeah.
But, I love the attention to detail, the skill that goes into the fabrication. There's a lot of pride in those trucks. Whether it's your cup of tea or not, man, somebody put the hours into it, and lots of cash, lots of stress on the family. Let's not forget how deep this stuff really goes when we're building these projects.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that, and I applaud anybody out there that's doing that.
Almost the same thing goes back to you and your company. What can we see? What can we hope to see and expect in the next 5-year plan for Matt and Beltec?
Lots of coilovers. With us being now owned since 2007 by the German coilover company KW Suspensions, we're able to take that technology and influx it into the truck market. And so that's a big focus of ours, a big push. And I want to see that expanded even farther into those that didn't traditionally have that type of setup in them.
Which really, again, this is going to go
them.
back to an advantage for you guys. You're owned by a coilover company. You have the technology there. The trucks are there. The platform is there. Do you, just kind of thinking out loud on this one, do you feel like you are at a disadvantage then? Do I go back to the shelves, go back to the 80s and the 90s and pull that, those tooling and that engineering, or is it easier just to say, do not look at those, do not touch those? We start fresh.
I think there's a fine line. I don't think you could ignore the past. You've got to look at some of that stuff because majority of it was good. Majority of it was right. But that's not to say that there wasn't room for improvement. And obviously technology has changed a lot in the last 20, 25, 30 years. So you're almost starting from scratch, but you're taking those cues of the good points from the old stuff.
Well, I think you guys have a tremendous position in this game because your old school marketing can be just radically reused.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody can do that more so than probably you. Maybe Hot Rods by Boyd if he wants to continue to use Dad's wheels and then repop them and bring that back.
Right.
Chris and the crew over there at Coddington. I think
stuff.
Foos obviously, but I think for Beltec and you look at the media, the marketing, and I would highly encourage you to please bring back those posters. Make the old poster so that we can buy it, and then also consider repopping a new poster.
Sure.
And that won't help keep any lights on, but what it will do is it will regenerate, revive some really cool nostalgic feeling.
Yeah.
Just like when you get in a truck, like I said, I alluded to earlier, my wife and I getting in the truck and just takes you back, you put a cassette tape in or you got a CD and some of that old school stuff. And to see that, if you guys do that and you're a marketing manager, you know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but you bring back some of that old school radness and even just seeing the skinny girls, photoshopped over that truck, it makes you feel like, all right, I'm still alive. I'm still doing good. I'm still in the scene. I love this. What would you say in closing? What would you want to tell the CK community, just from the perspective as a Beltec spokesman? What would you say when you look at the social media aspect, SEMA 2019, the trucks that we see, what would you take us out?
Don't get too wrapped up in what people think. You know, if you're building it, build it for you. You know, build it the way you want it, not what you think the internet's going to love. You've got your own style. Show it to everybody. Those that are going to like it, they're going to love it. But then again, you're going to have those haters. Pay them no attention.
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on.
Well, let them fuel you. Take your hard-earned money and spend it on what you want, not what somebody else wants, and enjoy the hell out of that C10, that CK.
And drive the crap out of it.
Drive the crap out. What do you guys do? How when you look at perspective of Chevy trucks, GMC trucks, what do the other trucks do for you guys? Big part. I mean, when we break it down,
it's still a big part. It's I don't want to say it's balanced, but we're still leaning towards the old stuff.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. You know, the new stuff is moving and moving well, but the old stuff is still kicking.
Cool. Keep doing what you're doing. Bring
Thank
it
you.
back and let us know however we can help you.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Big Matt Burns, we've got him here, Beltec and 2019 SEMA MagnaFlow booth up on the stage. Always so thankful for MagnaFlow and Shout Engine, Chris Hayes, and they let us schedule this, and it wouldn't be possible without these guys. So, Matt, again, thanks for taking the time out of your super busy schedule, super busy day.
Glad to be
here. And we're here with the community, OBS Nation.
Right on.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
Peace.
See ya.
That's all, folks.